The Incidental Spy. Written by Libby Fischer Hellmann. Narrated by Diane Piron-Gelman. The Incidental Spy. Chapter 1. Chicago, December 1941. Lena was sure they were going to kill her when she climbed into the car. There were two of them this afternoon. Usually it was only Hans. The second man sat in the back. He wasn't holding a knife or gun or even piano wire, but there was something chilling about him. He was a beefy, muscled bull of a man, and his presence made her colder than the December day. He refused to smile, and he wouldn't acknowledge her, as if there was a limited allocation of words and gestures, and any extra would tip the scales into chaos. And Hans, who usually liked to chat, stared straight ahead, pretending to ignore her. She felt like a ghost who'd somehow slipped into the passenger seat. Her thoughts turned to escape. She could pull the car door handle and throw herself out onto the road. She checked the speedometer. They were cruising south on Lakeshore Drive at about 30 miles per hour. She would surely perish if she did. She might be able to slide over to Hans and stomp her foot on the brake before he could stop her. But the road was icy, and the car would skid. What if it plowed into another car? She squeezed her eyes shut. She thought about smashing the window and screaming for help, but the glass of the Ford was thick, and even if she could shatter it, what would she say? Who would believe her? She bit her lip and tried to think. Maybe she was imagining it. Maybe it was just the stress of the past 6 months. Or perhaps it was her time of the month. Hadn't Carl always teased her about that? Carl. She blinked rapidly, trying to hold back the tears that still threatened at the thought of him. It had been a routine day of typing and filing, much like all the others. She'd had lunch with Sonia, who'd poured her heart out about her husband, who'd been drafted and had fought in the Battle of Midway last summer. Walking back from the cafeteria, Lena spotted the signal, a small American flag stuck in the snow-covered urn beside the 57th Street florist's shop. That meant she was to meet Hans as soon as possible. She considered ignoring it, just not showing up. But Max was at home with Mrs. McNulty, their upstairs neighbor and babysitter. She would give him supper and make sure he went to sleep if Lena had to work late, as she explained whenever there was a meet. She couldn't risk not meeting him. What if they retaliated against Max? She leaned back against the seat of the Ford and swallowed. She should have run the moment she spotted the flag, scooped up Max and boarded the first train out of Chicago. Now it was too late. She was a fool. The Ford slowed and turned into one of the beaches off South Lakeshore Drive. Then it slowed even more. The man in the seat behind her leaned forward. She knew what was coming. She braced herself and whispered the Shema. Chapter 2. Berlin, May 1935. Lena headed south on Ebertstrasse toward the Tiergarten and ducked into the park. It was the middle of May, but the hot sun made it feel more like July. Once inside the greenery, though, the temperature cooled. A breeze swished through the trees, and birds chirped, a bit frantically, Lena thought, as though they were as disturbed as she. She rounded the corner, narrowly missing a couple of girls on bicycles, braids swinging in their wake, and caught sight of several children splashing water at one another behind the rhododendrons. Josef should be waiting for her at the statue of the famous woman with her hand on her breast. Lena could never remember the woman's name. There he was. With his wavy blonde hair, sharp edge to his chin, and gorgeous green eyes, he looked Aryan, not Jewish. She, on the other hand, with her thick chestnut hair, brown eyes, and nose she thought was too big, but which Josef said he loved anyway, couldn't even try to pass. Josef claimed his looks had saved him from more than a few schoolyard brawls. His family had moved from Alsace years earlier, so he'd been French, German, and everything in between, he joked. But always in love with her, he would quickly add. When he spotted her, he smiled.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?